It was during his presidency that Kiribati became a member state to the United Nations, and today he is here with us. We welcome you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
We welcome Her Royal Highness Princess Kailasa from Kingdom of Lamini Falen Danzani Maisela from South Africa. We welcome you, ma'am.
We welcome the Honorable Kindra Maturin Stewart, Minister from Grenada. We welcome you, ma'am.
We welcome Advocate C.V. Nagesh, the designated Senior Counsel, Honorable High Court of Karnataka, Bangalore, India. Over 60 years of experience in the Indian bar and renowned lawyer in India, known for his command over criminal and civil law. He has authored several law books which form part of the curriculum of Indian law schools, and here he is joining us today. We welcome you, sir.
We welcome the Honorable Abraham K. Korwa, Senior, the Deputy Minister from Republic of Liberia. We welcome you, sir.
We welcome Dr. Ninwandwe, the General Practitioner and Head of Board of Directors of the Kingdom of Dlamini Palane Mamsteni Maisena from South Africa. We welcome you, sir.
We welcome the Grand Master of the Regular Order of the Grand Lodge of Italy, Mr. Fabio Venzi, who has joined us today. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. We welcome you.
We welcome Mr. Josh Levy, from Mayor from Hollywood, Florida, USA. We thank you for joining with us today, sir.
We welcome Ms. Denise Adams, the Mayor Pro Tempore of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, USA. We welcome you, ma'am.
We also have joining with us Her Worship Sharon Constance Palacio, Mayor of Belmopan City from Belize. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We thank Councillor Stuart Masarwa Mutizwa, Mayor of Harare, capital city of Zimbabwe. We thank you for joining with us, sir.
We welcome Mr. Fred Chung, the Mayor of the City of Fullerton, California, USA. We welcome you, sir.
We also have joining with us Mayor Sandra Ermine Royer, the Mayor of the City of Roseau, Dominica. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am.
We also welcome Mr. Mahmoud Mohamed Musa, Mayor of Zanzibar City in Zanzibar. Welcome, sir.
We welcome Councillor Mr. Suresh Krishna, the former Mayor of Harrow, Councillor and Deputy Mayor of Harrow from United Kingdom. We welcome you, sir.
We also welcome Mr. Claude J. Katta, the Deputy Chief of Staff, Office of the Vice President from Republic of Liberia. We are delighted to welcome you, sir.
We also thank Reverend Dr. Billy Gama, the General Secretary of Blantyre City from the Presbytery of Church of Central Africa, Blantyre, Malawi. We welcome you, sir, for joining.
We also welcome Mr. John Pitts, a Texas lobbyist, pastor, attorney from Texas, USA. We welcome you, sir.
We also welcome Mr. Bruce Casino, the Compliance and White Collar Attorney at Law, Office of Bruce J. Casino from Washington, D.C., USA. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
We would also like to thank Dr. Richard Middleton Kaplan, Professor and Dean from California, USA. Thank you so much for joining with us today, sir.
We welcome Mr. Tom Sheehy, Government Affairs Lobbyist from California, USA. We welcome you, sir.
We also welcome the Head of Strategic Communications Advisor, Mark Arian from Washington, D.C., USA. Thank you so much for joining us. We welcome you.
We also welcome Ms. Ursa Drofnik, fashion designer from Slovenia. Miss Ursa Drofnik is one of the leading fashion designers in Slovenia, and one of her clients are the Honorable Prime Minister of Slovenia and famous international musicians. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am.
We welcome Mr. Sash M. Krasnov, dance teacher from Ljubljana, Slovenia. Mr. Sash M. Krasnov is one of the most renowned dance teachers in Slovenia. We welcome you, sir.
We also welcome the Governor Henaro Poloi, the Governor of Melikek State, Republic of Palau. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
We thank the Honorable Octavia Alfred, Minister for Education, Human Resource Planning, Vocational Training and National Excellence from Reggio Dominica. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am.
We welcome Councillor Mr. Cooper W. Krua, Senior Minister of Post and Communication of the Republic of Liberia. We welcome you, sir. Thank you so much for coming.
And we welcome Mr. Bola Thapa, Brigadier General of the Nepal Army. Thank you, Mr. Bola Thapa. We welcome you today.
We also thank and welcome Honorable Isaac Endo, the Deputy Minister for Youth Development, Ministry of Youth and Sports from Republic of Liberia. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We welcome Attorney Daniel C. Gaidu Jr., Deputy Minister for Administration, Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism from Republic of Liberia. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
We welcome Dr. Lawrence Kamla Bropley Squire, Special Envoy and Advisor to the President from the Republic of Liberia. We welcome you, sir.
And we welcome Mr. T. Titus Charlie, and BMA, MA, and the Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations and Chairman of National Lottery Authority Lecturer of UMU, and the Office of the Vice President in the Republic of Liberia. We welcome you, sir.
We welcome His Worship Robert Mariano, the Mayor of Dangriga Town from Belize. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We welcome Mayor Fabrice Rulinda, Mayor of Entebbe City from the Republic of Uganda. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
We welcome the Honorable Dr. Sami Sulaiman, the Mayor of Hosroyal, Lebanon. We welcome you, sir.
We welcome Mr. Francis Flores, the Administrator of the Dangriga Town in Dangriga, Belize. We welcome you, sir.
We also thank the Honorable Ali El Said, the President of Union of Municipalities of Wadi Khaled from Lebanon. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We also thank Mr. Alan Said, Chairman of Pacific's Gateway from the Republic of Palau. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
We also welcome Mr. Sami Ibrahim, the CEO, co-founder of Pacific's Gateway, the Republic of Palau. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
And we welcome Mr. Francis Kabia, the Director of the Social Welfare Religious Organizations of Sierra Leone. We welcome you, sir.
We also thank and welcome Mr. Anthony Rogers Kasunda, the Press Secretary for the President of Malawi from Republic of Malawi. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We also thank the esteemed guests, Mr. Anthony Rogers Kasunda, who is the Press Secretary for the President of Malawi from the Republic of Malawi. And we thank Ms. Kay Bacchus, attorney and political candidate from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am.
We also welcome Mr. Kristen J. Williams, the Attorney, International Legal Advisor and Representative for the International Parliament for Human Rights from Trinidad and Tobago. We welcome you, sir.
And we welcome Mr. Michael Jarvis, the Special Consultant Diplomat for the International Parliament for Human Rights of the United Kingdom and Ireland. We welcome you, sir.
We also thank and welcome our esteemed guest, Mr. Adrian Kamara Makle, the attorney from Sierra Leone. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We also welcome Dr. Carla Margaret Henriquez Lozada, Delegate and Minister for Human Rights, Attorney, PhD and Diplomatic Counselor, Human Rights Defender in International Parliament for Human Rights from Canada. Thank you so much for joining us, ma'am.
We also welcome the Honorable Dunstan Kiobia, the District Commissioner of Matwara from Tanzania. We welcome you, sir.
And we also welcome His Royal Highness Asrak Tabet Tando, the Prince of the Bacho Thai Kingdom from Cameroon. We welcome you, sir.
We also welcome Mr. Tongai Mafidi Mangwa, the Member of Parliament from Republic of Zimbabwe. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We welcome Honorable Bernard John Georges, Member of Parliament from Republic of Seychelles. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
We also welcome the Honorable Haytham El Ahmed, Mayor of Wadi Khaled, Lebanon. We welcome you, sir.
We welcome the Honorable Mohammed Dargan El Ahmad, the Mayor of Ichi, Lebanon. We welcome you, sir.
We also thank and welcome our esteemed guest, Honorable Ahmed Shehade Al-Hamad, Deputy Mayor from Wadi Khaled, Lebanon. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We also thank Mr. Ben Kilowi, President's Assistant from the Republic of Marshall Islands. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
We also welcome Reverend Emmanuel Nimli, the religious advisor to the President of the Republic of Liberia. We welcome you, sir.
And we also welcome Mr. Kofi Sawyer, the Officer for Africa in the Commonwealth Secretariat of the United Kingdom. We welcome you, sir.
We also thank and welcome Mr. Robert M. Sami, the Assistant Minister and Special Assistant to the Minister of Foreign Affairs from Republic of Liberia. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We thank P. Kamalanathan Datuk from Malaysia. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
We also welcome Mr. Ibrahima Niadie, the ex-Director of Intendants of the Presidential Palace from the Republic of Mali. We welcome you, sir.
And we also welcome Mr. Augustine Onana, the Directorate of the Penitentiary Administration, the Ministry of Justice in the Republic of Cameroon. We welcome you, sir.
We thank Mr. Desire Asok Bahavi from the Republic of Togo. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We thank Mr. Anthony Zinso, Consultant in Political Communication Strategy from Republic of Benin. Thank you, sir, for joining with us.
We also welcome Mr. Elvis Kintu Sioni, Executive Assistant to Lord Mayor of Kampala Capital City Authority from the Republic of Uganda. We welcome you, sir.
And we also welcome the Honorable Sima Constantine Sima, Lord Mayor of the Mwanza City, Tanzania. We welcome you, sir.
We also thank and welcome Mr. Fengchai Chimwa Murombe, the attorney and founding partner from Republic of Zimbabwe. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We thank Mr. Meredith Bale, lobbyist and technology advisor to corporations and political circles at highest levels in Los Angeles, USA. Thank you so much for joining with us today.
We also welcome Mr. K. Sri Dhammaratana, Venerable Datuk of Malaysia. We welcome you, sir.
And we also welcome Mr. Gunaselan Raju, the National Executive Secretary of Central Working Committee of the Malaysian Indian Congress. We welcome you, sir.
We also welcome Mr. Deepan Mitra, Secretary General for World Hindu Federation from Bangladesh. Thank you so much for joining us today.
We also welcome Divyansh Patel, Mr. Divyansh Patel, the representative of BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir, Chino Hills, California, USA. Thank you, sir, for joining with us today.
We also welcome Mr. Vishal Patel, the representative from BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir from West Virginia, USA. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And we welcome Mr. Gopal Salanke, the representative for BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir from Oregon, USA. We welcome you, sir.
We also welcome Mr. Alpesh Solanki, the representative from BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir from Pennsylvania, USA. Thank you so much for joining with us today. We are so delighted to welcome all the dignitaries that have joined us today. We thank Mr. Sunny Patel, the representative from BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir from Georgia, USA. Thank you so much for joining with us today.
And we welcome the Ambassador Anthony G. Hilton, the Member of Parliament from Jamaica. We welcome you, sir.
We welcome Mr. Neil Patel, the candidate for Republican primaries for Ohio State from Columbus, Ohio. We welcome you, sir.
And we welcome Mr. Devendranath
Thanku,
Member of Parliament from Trinidad and Tobago. We welcome you, sir.
We welcome His Holiness Jagat Guru Sri Dilip Ji Maharaj, an NGO representative to the United Nations, spiritual guru, a Hindu monk, interfaith minister from New York, USA. Thank you so much for joining us, Sri Dilip Ji Maharaj. And we would like to thank each and every esteemed guest that have joined us today for this auspicious celebrations of the Jayanti Mahotsava, the Avatara Dinotsava celebrations of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam.
Now we are going to be entering into a very, very exciting session where we are going to be having the delegates from Sri Kailasa who are going to be sharing with us the hard work and the amazing, immense contribution of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and his revival of Sri Kailasa, as well as the humanitarian efforts that Swamiji has been doing, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been doing from a very, very young age. So now let us enter into this segment. Joining with us, we have Ma Tushi Tirun, as well as Sri Nithyananda, who are going to be joining with us and taking us through this. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Nithyanandam Paramasukhatam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrasham Tattvamasya Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tam Namami. Nithyanandam.
Nithyanandam.
Let me start by introducing myself. I am Sri Nithya Muktananda from Kailasa, USA, and here in Los Angeles. And along with me is Ma Toshi Thurun from Kailasa, Canada. Welcome, Ma Toshi. It's great to be hosting this session with you.
Yes, same here. Yeah, excited.
Awesome. So today is the continuation of Nithyanandotsava, the 21-day festival of celebration of the 45th Avatara Dinotsava, that is 45 years since the advent of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Today is a very special day in that celebration. Today is Kailasa's Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Day. Well, what does that mean? Before I get to that, I really want to welcome everyone who is joined here, who's so excited to see Swamiji, who we call the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism very fondly. I know everyone is joined here from around the world to join us in this celebration. So I welcome all the Kailasavasis, all practicing Hindus around the world, and especially our honored guests, leaders, ministers, mayors, administrators, diplomats, army generals, human rights advocates, and CEOs from joining us from over 30 countries today. Welcome to all of you. Great.
Welcome.
Nithyananda Day. It is a special day of global celebration. We are celebrating the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and his lifelong effort to preserve, protect, and share Hinduism and the science of enlightenment it represents. Hundreds of cities, countries, and prominent leaders are joining us today in not only celebrating the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's contribution to the world, but specifically to gender equality, freedom of religion, and also world peace. And over 30 cities have actually declared today as Paramahamsa Nithyananda Day in their respective places. And Swamiji has done all this great service to humanity for many years, in spite of the continued persecution that he has been facing. So today, we are really honored to have the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism himself addressing us. And before inviting him, we would like to present a short presentation of a journey, the spiritual journey that Swamiji has taken from his beginnings in Tiruvannamalai, which is the spiritual capital of the world, to where he is right now as the sovereign of the sovereign state of Kailasa, and the enormous work and contribution that he's done, especially to a whole series of Sri Kailasa's Uniting Nations efforts. Let's get to it. Ma Toshi, are you ready?
Yes.
Fantastic. Let me just share my screen. Excellent. To tell the story of His Divine Holiness, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, to tell the story of his journey, we have to start at the very beginning. The very place where he was born, Tiruvannamalai, which is the spiritual capital of the world, and all the seekers of enlightenment. This place actually is referred to in, like Swamiji likes to say, everything needs to be acid washed by Shastra Pramana, which is whether it is referred to in the scriptures, and then Apta Pramana, which is referred to by enlightened masters, Atma Pramana, which is personal experience of Swamiji, and Sakshi Pramana, which is our own personal experience. I can say that Arunachala or Tiruvannamalai, Tiruvannamalai is the city. In that, Arunachala is a hill which represents Paramashiva, who is the original author of yoga. He is the original author of the science of enlightenment. So Srimad Bhagavatam talks about Tiruvannamalai, and it says, Darshanat Avarasi Dasi, Jananat Kamalalaye, Kasyandu Maranam Mukti, Smaranat Arunachale, which means there are cities in India which represents the sacred sites where Shiva represents various forms. And if one is born, one comes to visit Shiva and sees the darshan or the view of Shiva in that city, Chidambaram, or if they take birth in Tiruvarur, or if you die in the city called Kasi, all gives you liberation. They all give you liberation. But for many, this may not be possible. So for everybody, even if you remember the city of Arunachala, Tiruvannamalai, you get liberated. That is the power of that city. Also, there is a very famous enlightened master, incarnation of Shiva, who used to live in Tiruvannamalai. His name was Ramana Maharishi. And he wrote a beautiful verse in Tamil. Aduve talam arunachalam, talam yavilum adigam, adubhumiyin idayam, ari aduve shivan idaya. What he said was, Arunachala is the ultimate holy site of holy sites. It's ultimate place in the world. It is the heart of the world. And it is the place where Shiva resides himself. Swamiji himself has said that Paramashiva has promised the world that he will always reside in Tiruvannamalai in three forms. One, as the Arunachala hill, that you can see the picture of that on your left, as Shivalinga, the incarnation of the physical form of Shiva, you can see that in the middle, and through a lineage of enlightened beings in Tiruvannamalai. And Swamiji comes in this lineage of enlightened beings who was promised by Shiva. So this is the place from which Swamiji was born. Now let's listen from Matushi about his where he was, how he was born, and how he was identified as an incarnation. Matushi.
Yes. So Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism not only was born in the spiritual headquarters of the city called Tiruvannamalai in India, at his early age, when he was 3, he was identified as for his avataric mission by enlightened masters, avatar, and adepts. There is a science for these people to be identified for an avataric mission, particularly for Swamiji himself, Yogi Rijaj, Yogananda Puri, and Vidwan Panduranganar, and the 230th Guru Maha Sannidhanam of Tondamandala Adinam. They have been the pillars in the early ages of getting the guidance from various other masters in recognizing Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism for his avataric mission. In 1981, July, he was given the initiation of Bala Sannyas. Bala Sannyas is a child saint. This is how Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism started his avataric mission.
Great. So just wanted to re-emphasize that the science of identifying an incarnation is well-known science in Hinduism. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is the 1008th incarnation of Paramashiva, who is the original author of the yoga sciences, the science of enlightenment. And from the young age, he was trained by all these adepts, all these yogis. And in fact, Swamiji used to say that Yogi Yogananda Puri used to make him do Surya Namaskar, which is an intense yoga practice from sunrise to sunset. And he would make him climb the pillars of the temple of Arunachala up and down all through the day. So that's how intense his training was growing up. And not only did he get trained in yoga, he also got trained in the scriptures by a variety of gurus. He, in fact, at the age of 10, he was directly trained by Paramashiva himself, an incarnation of Paramashiva, Arunagiri Yogeshwara, whose embodiment lives in Arunachala. He met Swamiji on a daily basis for 3 years, and he trained him personally. And this is a very highly mystical experience. And at the age of 10, Swamiji had his very first enlightenment experience at the very hill where you are seeing the picture. And at the age of 16, he was initiated to inherit the entire enlightenment ecosystem of Arunachala. And that initiation was done by Mata Vibhunananda Puri, also called Kuppamat. You can see her picture here. And Swamiji was initiated into sannyas and inheriting this ecosystem, which means carrying on the principles of the enlightenment ecosystem of Arunachala and spreading it, taking it to the whole world.
And SPH early days with his gurus not only gave him the training to realize his Avatara mission, but also trained him in starting from building ashrams for himself around the world. So the first picture that you see on the top left-hand corner, that is where SPH was very young. You could see the circle picture is SPH on the black and white photograph. This was in Tiruvannamalai itself, where his guru, Mataji Vibhulananda Puri, where Swamiji was building the ashram for her brick by brick. Gurus guided him and he followed. Since then, on the bottom left-hand corner, that was the first Adinam or monastery complex that was established in Tiruchenkodu. Early years of Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was tireless hard work, touching being at a time, stone at a time, building infrastructures, building community, building people. As you could see in the middle of it, where Swamiji himself is laying the foundational brick, was Adi Kailasa Sarvanyapidam, which is the headquarters in India, Bangalore. These stones itself, the brick stones itself, were hand-made by Swamiji himself. Certainly, during his mission, within few years of span, the growth has spread all over India. Every nook of the corner, people heard Swamiji's mission and what he's been contributing to people and society. As you could see the picture on the right-hand top corner, where he's conducting in 2004 mass living enlightenment initiation conventions, where thousands and thousands of people have been given conscious breakthrough to live the highest potential of their lives. Once the spread across the India has happened, then the mission expanded into the global stage. Muktaya would lead into what has happened in the global stage after this.
Yes, starting from these humble beginnings, very quickly, Swamiji's mission spread all around the world. And by age 30, he had established centers in over 100 countries. Here you can see a picture of him meeting with the mayor of St. Louis in the USA. That is one of his first visits to the United States. And this is a picture of what Matushi was saying. Everywhere he went, there were tens and thousands of people, huge crowds, initiated by Swamiji, waiting to listen to his message, imbibing the story of living enlightenment, the idea of living enlightenment into their lives, whether it is in India or Oklahoma or Malaysia or Australia. Swamiji traveled all over the world. And in fact, by the age of 30, there were already 5 centers in the US, Los Angeles, Seattle, Ohio, St. Louis, and also there were centers in Malaysia, Singapore, and many other countries all over the world.
Swamiji was not only having spiritual awakening classes and touching humanity, he had conducted major Hindu festivals. One of them is Kumbh Mela. Kumbh Mela is the largest human gathering in the world. Two such Kumbh Mela was conducted in 2015 in Nasik and 2016 in Ujjaini. For these Kumbh Mela, Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism invited global seekers. It's not just people from southern part of India or India itself. Global seekers have gathered in these places to experience and having the conscious breakthrough through Swamiji's initiations and programs. Not only seekers gathered, other monastery heads and leaders of Hinduism gathered to learn and celebrate authentic Hinduism through Bhagavan himself.
Matashi, you were saying it's the largest gathering of humanity in the world. Just to understand the scale, there are 130 million people who gather in one place. The number is just unimaginable, and many of them are there just to see Swamiji, just for a glimpse. And we were there in those centers when we were hosting this event. The gate, early morning, it would start. People would wait in long lines, few 100,000 people just waiting to get in, just to get a glimpse of His Divine Holiness, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Swamiji, as you see, through his tireless efforts, Swamiji began to be recognized as the leader of Hinduism. As we know, we all know that at a very young age, he was ordained as the 233rd Guru Mahasannidhanam, or the Pontiff of Tondai Mandala Adinam, Kanchi Kailasa Sarvagnya Pita. And he is also the current incumbent emperor of Surya Vamsa Surangi Samrajyam. He is the 23rd Guru Mahasannidhanam of Dharmamukti Swargapura Adinam. He was also coronated as the Mahasannidhanam of Kailasa Sonnada Shamala Pita Sarvagnya Pitam, which is Madurai Adinam. Madurai Adinam, deserves a special mention. It is the oldest Adinam established in India, and it's directly established by an incarnation of Paramashiva, and the lineage of leaders of pontiffs of Madurai Adinam have been the incarnations of Paramashiva. On the bottom left, you can see Swamiji being coronated as the Mahamandaleshwar, which is the supreme spiritual head of Mahanirvani Akhada, which is the largest monastic order of Hindus in India. And he was also appointed the Acharya Mahamandaleshwar of Atal Akhada. It is another organized body of Hindu monks. It's actually the largest body of Hindu monks. And finally, in 2015, a gathering of 1,000 spiritual heads of Hinduism elected His Divine Holiness as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in Bidadi, India.
So all that foundational work which has happened over the years led to the formation of Sri Kailasa civilizational nations that we all cherish and celebrate today. Sri Kailasa is a microcosmic, ancient Hindu enlightened civilizational nation. The vision of Sri Kailasa is giving living enlightenment for all of humanity, not just for Hindus, for all humanity. Kailasa's mission is to revive the greatest science of authentic Hinduism, where people can apply it in their life to live peacefully, harmoniously, and achieve the true potential of each of the beings. Mainly reviving the science in various areas, such as cosmology, alchemy, biology, mathematics, especially into power manifestations. All of these sciences were practiced freely in over 56 nations across the continent, but are now facing extinctions due to persecution. Even withstanding all the persecution that has come against Sri Kailasa and SPH himself, SPH have revived all these sciences across the globe. Swamiji himself is bringing the light for 2 billion Hindus, practicing Hindus, who are waiting to revive and live and preserve the science for the next generations to come. Kailasa do not put importance on territory alone. However, it also have sovereign territory as we speak. But its major mandatory of Sri Kailasa is to establish the enlightened ecosystem around the world, where people live in community, living, practicing authentic Hinduism science to create the betterment of their life. Wherever the Adi Saivite community settled down in various parts of the globe, you could see how they contribute to the economy and the society at large, and also they themselves live peaceful and blissful, successful life in all dimensions.
Madhushi, thank you for mentioning that. The Adishaivites, where they live, in fact, we have statistics to show that in the United States, the Hindus are the most prosperous community among all religions, whether it comes to percentage of people who have a degree, college degree, who are educated, the income of a family, they are the highest. When it comes to crime rates, the Hindu society has the lowest crime rate. They have the lowest drug use, lowest divorce rates. So extremely stable society, very well behaved, contributing to the community. And this is all due to the science of enlightenment, the lifestyle of Hinduism. And this is the same successful lifestyle that Swamiji wants to bring to everybody. A little bit more about persecution. Of course, yes, over a millennia, many colonial rulers in India and foreign invaders have destroyed Hinduism from the ground up. They have destroyed temples, they have destroyed organizations, libraries, burnt books. But one of the worst things that happened was destruction of our Gurukul, which is the education system that teaches Hinduism. More than that, more recently, in the last 50, 60 years, there has been a concerted effort to destroy Hinduism from the inside. Gurus who are teachers in Hinduism reveres gurus or masters, enlightened masters who can pass on the experience to others. So from the inside out, in Hindu extremists and atheists in India have actually destroyed this system and persecuted Hindu gurus, especially Swamiji, over the last 20 years, and made it very difficult for them to teach Hinduism. So lack of religious freedom is a huge problem. And second is the inability to practice Hinduism in its authentic form. The other thing that Swamiji very strongly believes in is gender equality. He's promoted women to be priests in temples. You would rarely see any women being a priest in Hindu temples in the US outside of Swamiji's temples, and very few in India. He has promoted women to be monks. He's established universities, especially for women, exclusively for women. So this progressive stance towards gender equality in religion is one of the main reasons why Swamiji is persecuted today. And this is the reason why the extremists have wanted to, even attempted to assassinate Swamiji multiple times.
Despite
Yes. Go ahead.
despite this all persecution that has happened, Sri Kailasa's success is thousands of enlightened ecosystem
Yeah.
around the world, which is standing tall and spreading day by day to revive the science and give the greatest science to humanity.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable that in spite of all the lawfare and all the assassination attempts on his life, he has never stopped working on doing things that benefit humanity. Great. Let's move on. So yeah, now we come to the main idea of what we are going to talk about today, right? All the work that Swamiji has done since he was 16 years of age, all of them have been for the benefit of humanity. Of course, we talk about enlightenment science, but enlightenment science needs to include the everyday benefit that people want to see in their lives. And so Swamiji has worked not only for spreading this enlightenment science, he's also worked towards spreading health, education, supporting of women and women empowerment, protecting indigenous cultures, helping, protecting animals and the environment, and also working against climate change, working against terrorism, working against deforestation, helping other communities that are facing lawfare. So like this, I can actually talk about 108 different initiatives. They all are called Sri Kailasa's Uniting Nations Initiative. What does it mean? It means bringing multiple nations together to create these initiatives for the benefit of the world. You all know the Sustainable Development Goals that the United Nations have. So all the Sri Kailasa Uniting Nations Initiative actually align with those Sustainable Development Goals and even expand on them in certain areas. The beauty of this is everything that Swamiji is teaching, whether it is holistic healthcare or amazing economic principles of enabling people to be successful, equality of women, equality of every.
I welcome all the dignitaries, all the statesmen, all the ministers, ambassadors, mayors of more than 70 cities from various countries, and statesmen, dignitaries, decision makers, celebrities sitting with us as on now from 170 countries celebrating this Kailasa's HDH Nithyananda Day. All the religious leaders from almost all major religions of the world sitting with us, all the